Yes, I am back with another fantastic session. This is Santosh Sahu and you are watching Sahu's tutorial. So, this video is going to deal with some important 21st century Indian novelists. I will discuss some important Indian novelists like Chitra Banerjee, Namita Gokhale, Sobha De, Neil Mukherjee, Meena Alexander, Gitanjali Sri and Vikram Seth and many others like Anuradha Roy, Chitra Mudgal, Manju Kapoor. So these are the famous novelists I will discuss in this video. So this is going to be a very fruitful, very informative session. Stay tuned with my channel South Tutorial and watch the video till the end because it is going to be a very fruitful session. So let's begin the session with this introduction that the 21st century has proved to the world that English literature is no longer the sole province of the imperial England. So literature is now no longer the sole province of the imperial England. Although the English literature has started and flourished in England, it has gone on to sow the seeds of creativity in English in other parts of the world. Interestingly, English people themselves paved the way for the unexpected developments that we witness today. When the English colonizers went to America, they started their literature of the Americans. Similarly, those English men and women who went to Australia began the process of new literature, and this is how new literature began, and it is called Australian literature. Also, so is the case with Canada, India, and Africa. With colonization in some parts of the world, especially Africa and Asia, there emerged a new literature which later came to be known as common literature and new literature in English, post-colonial literature, and so on. So, after the trio of Indians trio, that is Raja Rao, Arkinaren, and Mulkraj Anand, what happened in the middle of the 20th century? They were very prominent. They were writing novels. We have a after them, we have a multitude of writers, both men and women, from different walks of life on various themes. So they started to write on different walks of life on various themes. So while economic and social development was priority for political leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and psychological and sociological consequences of development became a major preoccupation for writers like R.K. Narayan, Kamla Markande, and Kamla Markande as the painter of science and a handful of rice, respectively. So they dealt with a less of complicated and largely rural life in a leisurely fashion, and their overtly political and social themes required a slow space for introspection at every stage. If the pre-independent authors deal with the nationalism and patriotism, the post-independent writers face the challenge of handling the newfound political prism. Notable among them in the post-independent writers are like Salman Rushdie, Arundhati Roy, Amitabh Ghosh, Shashi Tharoor, Shashi Deshpande, Manju Kapoor, Arvind Adiga, and many others in that era. So, but the postmodern writers like Rushdie and Salman Rushdie and Amitabh Ghosh had to develop into the impact of freedom on the Indians. A novel like The Hungry Tide by Ghosh clearly shows how the hard-earned freedom has not liberated the tribal people from the local oppressors. So, for another example, Manju Kapoor's A Married Woman articulates a different kind of freedom within the family, articulates a different of freedom with the family. Okay, and another trend is the translation. So you will also find a translation of the regional literature, translation of the regional literatures into English. For example, almost the entire works of Premchand, Munshi Premchand, the Hindi literature who is famous in Hindi literature, and Rabindranath Tagore's or Subramanian's Bharati's or Vijay Tendulkar's or Vasudevan's Nair are available in English. So the translations of Premchand, Rabindranath Tagore, Subramaniam Bharati or Vijay Tendulkar or Vasudevan works are available in English, not only for the English people but for the people of the world. And here is Taxis, okay, that is Chimen, Kesav Reddy's He Conquered the Jungle, and Sundara Ramaswamy's Tale of Tamarind Tree, a river, and the Murthy's Samsara and R. And so on are great contributions to English literature in English translations. Okay, these are important translations which have been translated into English. Of this translated text, we have a unique trend of women writers emerging on the national sense. We have a unique trend of women writers emerging on the national scene. A case in point is that Mahesara Devi of West Bengal, she is an activist writer who has championed the cause of the marginalized tribal people in West Bengal in such works as Draupadi. And an interesting aspect of creative translation is the work of Girish Karnad, who has translated his own work into English. Its place from that is Tughlaq to Wedding album, point to the historical and social problems facing our country. So here, another trend is the emergence of the writers from Dalit. So here the Dalit literature. So there was the earlier it was the translation. Now Dalit literature is also important in that aspect. Bamas Karuku, other marginalized sections of the society. A remarkable work of international standing is Bamas Karuku, is autobiographical. In another work is this, in this category is Om Puri Balmiki's Jutan. Oh, this is also an autobiographical work. These writings erase the distinction between the fact and fictions. Some autobiographies of these writers are presented. Some autobiographies of these writers are presented so vividly that they claim the status of great fiction. Further, the shocking plays of Mahesh Dattani and Manjula Padmanabhan belong to a different strand of margin away from the mainstream literature. Now, Indian diasporic writers like Bharati Mukherjee, Chitra Devakaruni Banerjee, Jhumpa Lahiri, Kiran Desai also writing famous writings have different windows on the world of their lives in India and abroad. They too share the common concerns of Indian writers in terms of cultural bindings that help and also hinder us from evolving into a higher level of life, especially a higher standard of peaceful life for all and Indians all over the world. Now, novelists like Jhumpa Lahiri, the interpreter of melodies, has smacks of disease, and Kiran Desai's the interpreter inheritance of loss is a poignant story of an Indian unable to live here, there, or anywhere, for the social and political forces are against him. Now, the first novelist that I was telling in the introduction that that I will discuss 10 Indian famous novelists. First one is here Chitra Banerjee Devakaruni. Here she's an Indian-born American author, of which Devakaruni's works are largely set in India and in United States as well. Often focus on the experience of South Asian immigrants. She writes for children as well as adults and has published novels in multiple genres, including realistic fiction, historical fiction, magical realism, myth and fantasy. So Chitra Banerjee's first short story collection is Arranged Marriage. Arranged Marriage Stories. So this is the first important short story collection written by Chitra Banerjee, that is Arranged Marriage. And for this work, she has been awarded with the American Book Award in 1996. And her major novels include the she has also written some novels. Her major novels are The Mistress of Spices, Sister of My Heart, Queen of Dreams, One Amazing Thing, Palace of Illusions, and The Mistress of Spices, Sister of My Heart, and Palace of Illusions, very important in that respect. Okay, so The Mistress of Spices, Sister of My Heart, Queen of Dreams, One Amazing Thing, and Palace of Illusions is about the Draupadi's point of view. The background of Mahabharata. So let's look at her, The Mistress of, and she's also written look at here that she's also written a young adult fantasy series called The Brotherhood of the Conch, and the first novel is here The Conch Wearer. The Conch Wearer is the opening novel. The first novel of that adult fantasy series is called The Brotherhood of the Conch, where the first novel is The Conch Wearer. So this novel consists of three this series consists of three novels. Okay, one is The Conch Wearer, the second one is The Mirror of Fire and Dreaming, and the last one is Shadowland. So this is the adult fantasy series written by Chitra Banerjee, and the first one is The Conch Wearer. Okay, this is a fantasy series. Now look at The Mysteries. The Mysteries of Spices is a 1997 novel. It is contemporary. It is set in California, set in contemporary Oakland, California. So Mysteries of Spices. So here the main character is Tilo. Tilo is the titular character. The mistress is a shopkeeper who is born in India and trained in magic, who helps in customers satisfy their needs and desires with the mystical properties of spices. And her life changes when she falls for an American man named Raven, whom the book strongly implies is Native American. Unfortunately, she chooses to disregard the rules of her training in her pursuit of romance and her decision to seek out customers outside her shop, so which results in a specific inflicting punishment on her and those she cares about. To save Ravan from being another victim of the spice's powerful magic, she decides to leave him after one last night where they make love. And afterwards, she accepts the punishment for disregarding the rules of her training, which results in the store being destroyed in an earthquake. So she survives, and she and Raven reconcile, decide to help rebuild the shop. So this is The Mistress of Spices, written by Chitra Banerjee. Now the second one is Sister of My Heart. Sister of My Heart, another famous novel by Chitra Banerjee, Sister of My Heart. It was published in the 1999. The story centers on the two Indian girls. One is Anju and Sudha. The girls narrate their life stories in alternative chapters. The books follow Sudha and Anju through childhood, adolescence, and early adulthood. Although some of the characters immigrate to the United States, most of the story is set in India. So here the stories of Anju and Sudha is Sister of My Heart, another novel by Chitra Banerjee. Now the Palace of Illusions, the famous novel, The Palace of Illusions, a novel is subtitled as a novel. The Palace of Illusions or a novel is a 2008 novel by Chitra Banerjee, and the novel is a rendition of the Hindu epic that is Mahabharata. As for it is been told from Draupadi's point of view. Draupadi, whose nickname is Panchali, namely that of a women living in a particular world. And the publisher summarizes this novel as that summarizes the plot that smart, resilient, and courageous Panchali, born of fire, marries all five of the famously heroic Pandava brothers. Harbours a secret love, endures a long exile in the wilderness, and instigates a catastrophic war, and slowly learns the truth about Krishna, her mysterious friends. Okay, so the Palace of Illusions is written by Chitra Banerjee. Now another novel is One Amazing Thing. One Amazing Thing. So it was published in the year 2009. 2009. So the novel presents a group of people from various backgrounds trapped inside a visa office. Visa office. They are trapped. They are being trapped inside a visa office after a massive earthquake, and how they survive. So this is the story of One Amazing Thing by Chitra Banerjee, published in the year 2009. Now the Conch Bearer, the fantasy novel, the first novel of the series, the series, the Conch Bearer is a fantasy novel. The story, the Conch Bearer is Anand is the Conch Bearer. The titular character, the titular Conch Bearer is the Anand. Is a 12-year-old boy who lives in the modern India, a believer in the fairy tales and magic. He used to go to the school until his family could no longer afford to pay for his lessons. But his father had left 2 years before the start of the story. His sister Mira, on the other hand, had been hurt mentally when she witnessed a murder. And this Anand and his mother had been forced to work. And what is conch? Conch is a mysterious object that can communicate with humans and has a great power. And Anand's task is to carry the conch back to the brotherhood. And the conch looks like a conch. It usually gives off a glow, but most people see it in something else. So this is the Conch Bearer, written by Chitra Mukherjee, and it was a fantasy novel, the Conch Bearer. Now Namita Gokhale is the second novelist. Namita Gokhale is the 21st century, the important novelist. Okay, is an Indian writer, editor, and festival, and she is the also founder and the co-editor of the that is Jaipur Literature Festival. Look at here, there is a founder and co-director of Jaipur Literature Festival. Okay, now publisher she conceptualized and hosted the Doordarshan show, that is the Kitab Nama, Books and Beyond, and she has been awarded in the Sahitya Academy Award in 2021. Sahitya Academy Award has been awarded to her in the year 2021. So, and she is the founder and the co-director of the Jaipur Literature Festivals. And Paro Dreams of Passion is a debut novel. Her debut novel is the Paro Dreams of Passions. Paro Dreams of Passion, published in the year 1984. Her debut novel is Paro Dreams of Passion. Another novel, God's Graves and Grandmother, and a Himalayan love story. And another famous novel is that was published in the year 2016 is Things to Leave Behind. So Things to Leave Behind, Paro Dreams of Passions are written by whose novelist? This is Namita Gokhale. And she has been awarded the Sahitya Academy Award in the year 2021. So her non-fiction famous work is The Himalayan Arc. The Himalayan Arc, Journeys of East of Southeast. So this is the non-fiction famous work by Namita Gokhale. Okay, now move to Sobhade. Sobhade is very important because she has written great novels like Speed Post, Socialite Evenings. Okay. Starry Nights. So here Sobhade is an Indian novelist and columnist. She is the best known for her depiction of socialites and sex, and she has been compared with the British novelists like Jackie Collins. So she has been referred to as the Jackie Collins of India, because in her novel you will see the depiction of socialites and sex in her works of fiction. That's why she has been compared to the another British women novelist, that is Jackie Collins. And Sobhade is known for her novels like Socialite Evenings. That is Socialite Evenings. Okay, it is Sobhade's first novel. The debut novel is Socialite Evenings. It is describes the Mumbai high society and explores the lives of bored, rich housewives trapped in loveless marriage and engaging in ill-fated extramarital affairs, marked selfish husbands who use their wives more for social respectability than for love, and fashionable fatigue, false spiritual leaders, and portrait of the general moral, spiritual, and intellectual bankruptcy and decadence of the elite who have traded their traditional culture of westernization and materialism. So, Socialite Evening is about this is the first novel, the debut novel of Sobhade. It discusses Mumbai's high society. Now the second one is where Karuna, look at it, in the Socialite Evenings, Karuna is the main protagonist. The narrator is caught up in a trap, boring life that seeks to escape by writing memoirs. Now what does Karuna do? Karuna is now writing memoir. and in order to escape from the boring life, in order to escape from the Mumbai's boring life, okay, she is now writing what? She is now writing memoirs, and her memoirs are successful, and she achieves a measure of fame. So now she got the fame and pride in herself as she becomes an active socialite, and eventually uses her newfound prominence as a celebrity to get herself a position as an advertising copywriter and creator of a television series. So this is the Karuna, the socialite events written by Shobhade. Now the next one is the Starry Nights. Starry Nights, Shobhade's second novel. It is said to the novel's character Asa Rani is the main Asa Rani is the main protagonist, and her lover Akshay. So it is here based on the real life of the love affairs of Amitabh Bachchan and Rekha Ganesan, and here Dharmendra Singh Deol and Hema Malini. And this is a daring novel. That's why she's called a daring author. So it was bestseller in India. This novel was a bestseller in India. That is Starry Nights, and it was based on the real life love affairs of Amitabh Bachchan and Rekha and Dharmendra Singh Deol with Hema Malini, and it was a bestseller in India and cemented its authors and reputation as being a provocative and daring author. So Starry Night, Socialite Evenings, and another one here. The protagonist is the Asarani. Asarani, that is there is a Starry Nights. Asarani, a dark chubby girl from Madras who has striven for 7 years, to become a famous Bollywood starlet. That's a Starry Nights. Now here, Speed Post is another famous novel. It is a series of letters to her six children. The book is a series of letters to her six children, either grown or nearly so. The subjects that she approached through the medium letters include growing pains, and then and adolescent anxieties about love, sex, and friendship, religion, and God. The challenge of being a responsible parent, death and remembrance, and family traditions, and the palace of career, sex of values in the lives of our children. So, Speed Post is another famous novel written by Sobhade. So Sobhade. Another novel is Second Thoughts. Second Thoughts is a novel by Sobhade where the character Maya appears. Okay. Second Thoughts is a love story about the Maya, a pretty girl who is eager to escape her dull middle class home in Calcutta for the glamour of Mumbai, where she moves after the marriage to Ranjan, a handsome, ambitious man who has an American university degree and a wealthy family background. But Maya is determined to be the ideal life, but finds herself trapped and stifled by the confines of her arranged marriage to a man who she discovers is rigidly conservative and completely indifferent to her and to her desires. And she begins to experience a great loneliness in sunburned Mumbai. So she strikes up her friends with Nikhil. She strikes up a friendship with Nikhil, her charming college-going neighbor, leading to love and betrayal. So Nikhil betrays Maya at the end. So Maya is being betrayed at the end of the novel. So these are the four novels written by Sobhade: Starry Nights, Socialite Evenings, Second Thoughts, and Speed Post. Speed Post is a famous novel. Speed Post, Starry Nights, Socialite Evenings, and Second Thoughts. Now come to number four novelist, that is Manju Kapoor. Manju Kapoor is an Indian novelist. Okay, her famous first novel is Difficult Daughters, and for this work she has been awarded with the Commonwealth Letters Prize in the year 1999. That is Difficult Daughters, the first work, her first novel, Difficult Daughters. Another novel is A Married Woman. A married woman is about Astha. Astha, who has everything, who is a middle class daily woman, could ask for children, a dutiful, loving husband, and comfortable surroundings. He sees everything. When she embarks on a powerfully physical relationship with a much younger woman, she risks losing the acquisitions of her conventional marriage. A married woman is the story of an artist. This is a married woman. A married woman is the story of an artist whose canvas challenges the constraints of a middle class existence. A beautifully honest and seductive story of love set at him of political and religious upheaval. A married woman is for anyone who has known life's responsibilities. So this is Manju Kapoor's. Manju Kapoor is written two famous. One is Difficult Letters, and for that work she has been awarded the Common Letters Prize in the year 1999. And another famous novel is A Married Woman. Next author is, look at here. Okay, what is Difficult Daughters is dealing with, it's set around the time of partition and written with the absorbing intelligence and sympathy. Okay, Difficult Daughters is the story of a woman who torn between family duty, the desire for education, and illicit love. Where Virmiti, a young woman, this is the Virmiti, a young woman born in Amritsar into an austere and high-minded household, falls in love with the neighbor, the professor, a man who is already married. That the professor eventually marries Virmati, installs her in his home, and helps her towards further studies in Lahore. A small consolation to her scandalized family, or even to Virmati, who finds that the battle for her own independence has created irreparable lines of partition and pain around her. So Manju Kapoor has written Difficult Daughters, and second one is A Married Woman. Okay. Now Meena Alexander, another famous novelist who has written Nampally Road, a novel. This is the subtitle of the novel, Nampally Road, a novel. Mira, this Mira Kanadikar returns to India after graduate school in England to teach poetry. To teach poetry. Mira returns back. Comes back to India, But when she moves into a house on Nampally Road in Hyderabad, she must come to terms with the conflicts and contradictions of life in modern India. So this is the only famous novel written by Mina Alexander from the perspective of using national exams. That is Nampally Road, a novel, Mina Alexander. Now Gitanjali Sri, the Tomb of Sand, written by Tomb of Sand was translated. That is the Red Samadhi translated by Daisy Rackwell as Tomb of Sands. Is also known as Gitanjali Pandey. Is an Indian Hindi language novelist, a short story writer based on New Delhi, and she is the author of several short stories and 5 novels. Now her novel is May. Her novel May was translated by Nita Kumar. So May was shortlisted for the Crossword Book Award. So Gitanjali Sri is known for her novel, that is May, and that was translated into English by Nita Kumar and was published by Neogi Books. And in 2022, her novel Red Samadhi was translated by Daisy Rockwell. This question comes in West Bengal State exam. Okay, that is who translated Gitanjali Sri's Red Samadhi. That is as Tomb of Sand. That is Daisy Rockwell. So Daisy Rockwell translated Gitanjali Sri's novel, that is Red Samadhi, into English as Tomb of Sand, and it won the International Booker Prize. So she has also written critical works on Premchand. She also written critical works on Munshi Premchand, the Hindi short story writer. Okay, now the May and Red Samadhi, these are the famous novels written by Gitanjali Sri. Now look at here, the English translation of our novel, that's May, that was translated by Nita Kumar. Okay, captured her to fame, and the novel is about the 3 generations of women and the men around in a North Indian middle class family. May has been translated into several languages, including Serbian and Korean. It has also been translated into English by Nita Kumar, who was awarded with Sahitya Academy Translation Prize. And Nita Kumar has been awarded with Sahitya Academy Translation Prize because she has translated Gitanjali Sri's novel, that is the May, and into Urdu by Basir Unwan with a preface by Intijar Hussain. So now look at the Tomb of Sand. It is a Red Samadhi. Its original title was Red Samadhi. Is a 2018 Hindi language novel by Indian author Gitanjali Sri. It was translated into English by US translator Daisy Rockwell, and in 2022, the book became the first novel translated from an Indian language to win the International Booker Prize. And this story is about Ma. The book traces the transformative journey of a 80-year-old Ma who becomes depressed after the death of her husband, and she then decides to travel to Pakistan, confronting trauma that had remained unresolved since she was a teenager who survived the partisan riots. And the story is fictional here. This is Tomb of Sand by Gitanjali Sri. Now another famous writer is Bikram Seth. Bikram Seth has written many poetry collection as well. He is also known for poetry. That's why he has written several novels and poetry. He has won several awards like Padma Shri, Sahitya Academy Award, then is Parvasi Bharatiya Samman, then Parvasi Bharatiya Samman, then W. Smith Literary Award and Crossword Book Award. And Seth's collection of story is mappings, beastly tales are notable contribution to the Indian English language poetry canon. It's mappings and beastly tales. And the Golden Gate is a famous novel. This is a Bhar's novel. So this is the Bhar's novel. The Golden Gate by Bikram Seth is a Bhar's novel published in the 1986. The first novel by the poet, and the novelist Bikram Seth. The work is a novel in verse. So it is composed of 590 jin. It's Yungin Wanjin stanzas. Songs written in iambic tetrameter. So Wanjin stanzas Yungin Wanjin stanzas are written in iambic tetrameter, with the rhyme scheme follows, that's A B C C D C C D D E F E G G. So pattern of the Eugen Wanjin. Alexander Pushkin's Eugen Wanjin is another Bhar's novel. It was inspired by Charles Johnston's translations of Pushkin's Eugen Wanjin. So Alexander Pushkin has written Eugen Wanjin. This is also a Bhar's novel, and it was translated translated by that is Charles Johnston, and Bikram Seth was inspired by Charles Johnston translations of Pushkin's Eugen Wanjin. Okay, so the Golden Gate. Look at here. The Golden Gate follows the group of yippies in San Francisco, and the inciting action occurs when protagonist John Brown has his former love Janet place an amorous advertisement of himself in newspaper. So here the protagonist is John Brown, and it is follows the group of EPs in San Francisco. The inciting action occurs when protagonist John Brown has his former love Janet Plish and amorous advertisement of himself in the newspaper. Okay, so the Golden Gate. Sorry. Sorry. Now, A Suitable Boy is a novel. A Suitable Boy is a novel by Vikram Seth. So, first one is the Golden Gate, then the Suitable Boy is a novel. It's one of the longest novel published in single volume. In a single volume, so it is one of the longest novels published in a single volume. A Suitable Boy is set newly post-independence, post-partition of India. The novel follows our four families during 18 months and centers on Mrs. Rupa Mehra's efforts to arrange the marriage of her younger daughter Lota to a suitable boy. So this is arrangement of Lota's marriage. So to a suitable boy. Lota is a 19-year-old university student who refuses to be influenced by her domineering mother and the opinionated brother Arun. Her story revolves around the choice she is forced to make between her suitors Kabir, Haresh and Amit. Now it also begins in the fictional town of that is Brahmpur, located along the Ganges, Patna, Brahmpur, along with the Calcutta, Delhi, Lucknow, and other Indian cities, forms a colorful backdrop of the emerging stories. The novel alternately offers satirical and earnest experimentation on national political issues in the period leading up to the first poet independence of national elections of 1952, and including Hindu-Muslim strife, the status of lower caste people such as Jatif, land reforms, abolition of Jamindari system can be seen in this novel also. The novel is divided into 19. It has 19 parts. So, Suitable Boy is the story of Lata's marriage. As mental Lata's marriage. So, Suitable Boy. Another novel by Bikram said. Another novel is an equal music. This plot concerns Michael, who is a professional violinist who never forgot his love for Julia, who is a pianist. So this is the story of Michael and Julia. Michael is a violinist, whereas Julia is a pianist. He met as a student in Vienna. So they met again after a decade and conduct a secret affair, though she is married and she has one child. Their musical careers are affected by this affair and the knowledge that Julia is going deaf. And the knowledge that the Julia is going deaf. A recurring element throughout the plot is the fierce performance of Beethoven's piano trio Opus 1, number 3, which they first performed in their college days. So this is the story of Michael, the violinist, and Julia, the pianist, and equal music by Bikram Seth. Another novelist is Anuradha Roy. Anuradha Roy, the novelist, she has written novels like An Atlas of Impossible Longing, The Folded Earth, Sleeping on Jupiter, All the Lives We Never Lived, The Earth Spinner. Now, among all these novels, okay, the sleeping on Jupiter is very important. Anuradha Roy, Sleeping on Jupiter. Let's look at here. Sleeping on Jupiter is a novel by Anuradha Roy. It is her third novel, and Nomi travels to Jarmuli, a temple town in India's coastal northeast, to produce a documentary film. And Nomi was born in India but was later orphaned and sent to an ashram in Jarmuli. She was subjected to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse while at the ashram. She later escaped and was adopted, moving to Norway. She meets three old women while on a train: Gauri, Latika, Vidya, her production's assistant Suraj, and his Vidya's son, and is troubled by his ongoing divorce. The chapters alternate between Nomi's first-person narration and third-person narratives, following the novel's secondary characters. So, Sleeping in Jupiter is written by Anuradha Roy. Now, that is Sleeping on Jupiter will be longlisted for the Man Booker Prize and shortlisted for the Hindu Literary Prize. It won 2016 DSC Prize for South Asian Literature by Anuradha Roy. Now, Chitra Mudgal is a modern Hindi literature, one of the prominent figure in the figures of modern Hindi literature. Indian writer. She was awarded with India's highest literary award, Sahitya Academy Award, for a novel like Post Box number 203. For a novel, Chitra Mudgal has written the famous Post Box number 2003. Narasovara, and for this work she has been awarded with the prestigious award Sahitya Academy Award in the year 2019, and she is the first Indian woman to receive the coveted, the respect, the honor, that is vast summon for a novel Avan. So she has written, Chitra Mudgal has written two famous novels, that is Post Box number 203 and Avan and Post Box number 203. Look at here, the Avan, her novel Avan are portrayed the lives and times of trade union movement when nearly 3 lakh workers spearheaded by Datta Samant went on a year-long strike of Mumbai textile mills, which finally saw the collapses of city's dynamic industry. This work has been unanimously acknowledged by the critics as a masterpiece literary work that stands as a classic novel in the Hindi literature. This is Aban by Chitra Mudgal. The plot of her novel is Aban, which conceived following the murder of the committed trade union leader Shankar Guha Niyogi. And his murder was in fact followed by the murder of another people unionist of Bombay, that is Datta Samant. Subsequently, another labor leader of Madhya Pradesh and from Majhar was killed. The murder of Datta Samant, it is very important that who was her guide and philosopher, shattered her and became the basis of her novel Abhan. So Abhan was written by Chitra Mudgal. Next novelist is Neil Mukherjee. The last novel of this video, that is Neil Mukherjee. Neil Mukherjee has written Lives of Others is an Indian English language writer based on London. He is the author of several critically acclaimed novels, and his first novel is Past Continuous, won the Vodafone Crossword Book Prize and several more awards when republished in the UK in 2010. His second novel is The Lives of the Others, that was based in the background was that is Naxalite movement. Was The Lives of Others was shortlisted for the 2014 Man Booker Prize and won the Encore Award. And he was elected for the Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature in 2018. Okay, so Neil Mukherjee, which was famous for his novels like Past Continuous and The Lives of Others. Now look at here, Past Continuous. And when it was published in India, it was named as Past Continuous, and when it was published in UK, it was named as A Live Effort. So published in India in January 2008 as Past Continuous. When it was published in UK in January, it was named as A Live Effort. So it won him the Vodafone Crossword Book Award, and these are the awards that has been awarded for this novel. Now look at here, that is The Lives of Others, is a novel by Neil Mukherjee. The novel was shortlisted for 2014 Man Booker Prize. Okay, the novel is set in Calcutta in the 1960s and follows a wealthy business family, one of the whose members gets involved in extremist political activism. The book deals with the schism between the generations and is set against the backdrop in which the gulf between the poor and the wealthy has never been wider. So the story touches briefly on notable moments of city's history, such as Bengal famine of 1943, Great Calcutta killings of 1946, and the partition of India. Most of the action takes place in the year 1968 to 1972. So in that period, okay, the Maoist activities was very prominent. Maoist activity was very prominent, 1968 to 1972. So look at here that the book also gives a spectacular perspective on the Naxalite movement. So the book also gives a spectacular perspective on the Naxalite movement. The novel's most important character is a Naxalite whose name is Supratik Ghosh, a grandson of the patriarch. Supratik Ghosh is an Naxalite in that important character. Okay, in that novel. Okay, The Lives of Others by Neil Mukherjee, both on the front and back. In that era, that saw the Bengal. In that novel, we saw that the Bengal was racked by the Maoist-oriented Naxalite movement. So in this video, I have discussed 10 important 21st century Indian novelists. Okay, thank you. Stay tuned with my channel, SAHOO'S Tutorial, and do not forget to subscribe my channel, SAHOO'S Tutorial.